Hey everybody, Alex Employer from Expert Forex, and in today's video I want to give you a report back on some of the plug and play results that we've achieved on the settings that we provided on in the GTM Forex Robot. And as you can see on the screen, some of the settings have provided 120% return on simple beginners plug and play settings. So let's have a look at that in a little bit more detail. So firstly, what do we mean by plug and play versions? Now, what we've done is we have created 4 versions of most of our EAs. In other words, we have an MT5 and an MT4 version firstly, and then we have a plug and play and a standard version of the EA. So the standard version, on your screen you can see the standard version of the Grid Trend Multiplier. Now the standard version's input over here, as you can see on following my cursor, has about 30 input values. It's just so confusing for somebody who's new to Forex trading and is a total beginner. So what we've did is we said, let's create some plug and play versions which only require the person to make 3 decisions. And here is the input for the plug and play version. It's intended for busy people who want to make lots of money or beginners who want to make lots of money. So all we're asking you to do is say, choose the currency you want to trade, choose the method you want to trade, aggressive, balanced or conservative, and then choose your position sizing, and we give you a guide here. Your position sizing should be 0.01 per $1,000 in your account. So there's only three settings that you need to worry about compared to the 30 odd on the other side. So that's the beauty of plug and play versions, and obviously what we do is we build in the best settings into those plug and play versions. And today we're going to be looking at specifically the Grid Trend Multiplier. Now I'm not going to go into the way the Grid Trend Multiplier works, but you can go and get more information by going to the playlist that we have for the Grid Trend Multiplier this year, and we've got over 50 other videos that you can look at about the Grid Trend Multiplier in other years. But essentially what it does, it divides the charts into grids and enters a buy and sell at each grid level, and it will cash in the positive transactions when the next grid level is reached, and it will open at that next grid level another buy and sell and trade, so on and so on, and strangely enough it makes a lot of money. So what we did is we provided settings for the US CAD, the Euro Franc, the Euro USD and the Oz USD as our set and forget plug and play settings. So those are the currencies we selected, and obviously you can select aggressive, balanced or conservative settings. Now what I want to introduce you to is a carpet concept. So when you're trading the Grid Trend Multiplier, you're essentially building a carpet of open deals. I call it a carpet, or you can call it a blanket. It's an area or a range, and the green that you see on these charts represent the carpet or the range that was developed as a result of the trading that happened over that period. So in the case of the USD CAD, you can see there was a 600 pip carpet where the price just bounced up and down in this particular range, and that's how the Grid Trend Multiplier traded it. Every time it touched a grid grid level, it would cash in a deal. And you're going to see this in a lot more detail later on, so stick around and you'll see the trading happening as I'm describing it right now. And that applies to all the other 4 currencies that we use. And you can see some of the currencies had a small carpet, 400 and even 160 carpet. 600 carpet, but the odds had a very large carpet. In other words, the price needed a lot of room to move on, and it didn't do as well as the other currencies that required a small carpet. But I'll explain that in a little bit more detail as we watch an example of the Grid Trend Multiplier trading. But to cut a long story short, here are the results after 2 months of trading our plug and play settings. These are the results that were achieved. So on the euro franc, for instance, if you had traded the aggressive method, you would have made 13.9%, the balanced 9.9%, and the conservative 7.1%. But however, if you had used the plug and play settings on the Oz, you would have made considerable losses, almost 60% loss, almost 40% loss, and a 43% loss in that particular case. But look at what you would have gained on the euro. You would have made up for those losses with 62% gain, 50% gain, and 38% gain. And look at the CAD, and this is where the 120% comes in. So that the CAD made 120% over 2 months using our plug and play settings exactly. And then on the balance basis, 94%, and then on a conservative basis, 61%. So if you add them all together, in total, the return on investment would have been 34%, 29%, or 16%. So the settings are very simple. You choose a currency, you choose an approach, and that approach will determine the gap size that you will use when you trade that particular currency. So the gap size is the distance between the grid levels that exist. And we'll see a little bit more about that later on. But as you can see, you would have been fantastically positive, especially if you used a portfolio approach. A portfolio approach basically says that you trade all 4 currencies in either in all or a selection of the trading approaches. So a portfolio approach spreads your risk. If you had put all your money in the Oz, you would have lost. If you had put all your money in the CAD, you would have made fantastic gains. But if you had put all your money in all 4 of the currencies, you would have made really good returns. I think 38% over 2 months is not something that you could complain about. So let's go and watch the Grid Trend Multiplier in action to understand how the carpet concept fits in, and how the grid levels fit in, and how you end up literally printing money when the price is located on your carpet, or blanket as I sometimes call it. Okay, here we are. Here is the trading in action, and as you can see, here's the blanket concept that I've been talking about. And what you can see here is, and we'll look at it, there are 29 open trades, and because there are buys and sells, the margin requirements get offset in the majority of cases. So let's have a look at what's going on here. So we are trading the US CAD. We are using manual lots of 0.01, and our gap size is 15. So every line that you see on this chart has a gap of 15 pips. And every single time the price touches one of those grid lines, it cashes in. And as you can see, there are just hundreds of cash-ins that are happening on an ongoing basis. Now, the other concept that I need to share with you here is that this is essentially what I call a carpet, and this carpet has been paid for. And what I mean by that is that we are running on a positive equity balance. So all those open deals have been paid for. The equity is positive. and you can see the balance on the account is 1,520, but the equity is 1,300, and the difference between that is the cost of this blanket that I'm talking about, or carpet that I'm talking about. Now, once you've established a carpet and it is paid for, like is the situation right now, every single time the price touches a grid line, it is like printing money, because you have paid for your carpet and the price is just having fun and cashing in and cashing in and cashing in. And that is why this balance will just increase and increase all the time, and why we will get over 100% return on our investment in this particular carpet. Now, it has currently 29 open deals. The majority of them are sells, and there are 12 buys. Now, see, the balance is now improving, and there were the balance has changed. And look at the continuous cashing in. It's just cashing in and cashing in and cashing in. And as we've been speaking, you can see the equity balance is going up, and the balance on the account. That is the concept of grid trading. The information table that accompanies this EA really does give you a lot of information. For instance, you can look at the account information. You can see what leverage is being applied, how much margin is being used, what the balance is, what the equity balance is. So you're seeing everything on an ongoing basis. You're seeing what the current spread is compared to the average and that type of thing. So the information provided is actually quite amazing, and we are in the ideal position here in that we are in the middle of the blanket and we are just cashing in. Just look at that clump, just cashing in, cashing in, cashing in, and you can see the balance is just increasing and increasing. Now I'm showing you this to give you an idea of the concept of investment forex trading, because what you're doing, you're investing in a blanket of open trades, and this is allowing you to cash in positively every single time the grid is touched. So if it starts going outside of the blanket, it means your cost of the blanket will increase, but you will still be cashing in and cashing in as the price stays in the middle of the blanket. I hope you found that very interesting. I know that a lot of people don't have $1,000 lying around, or maybe $4,000 around, to create a portfolio of currencies. Here is a video that you can look at where you can trade cents as if they are dollars. So if you have $100, you can literally trade the EA as if you had $10,000, because this account converts your dollars into cents, and that's what you trade. And this is the way, if you have a small account, you can take advantage of these great returns that we are getting on the Grid Trend Multiplier. So please go and have a look at this video and consider using 1 cent accounts. Now, we will be updating the Grid Trend Multiplier plug and play settings. We will be providing more currencies so that you can build bigger portfolios, and we will be updating some of the settings that have been provided. That will happen in the next 3 or 4 days from the production of this video, and I just wanted to give you a warning that this would be happening. And if you are not already the proud owner of this particular EA, please go and have a look at the special price offers that we have available to our clients. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you've learned something from this particular video. From me, Alex Deploy, cheerio.